Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 3 of Unmatched. A little bit later than usual, but we're here nonetheless. Um, we got a lot to talk about. Quite a bit happened. We didn't get to touch on All Star Weekend, which we will talk about absolutely because it was abysmal. Doc Rivers, JJ Redick, the guys know how I feel for the most part about Doc Rivers.
It's your favorite
Um,
coach in the league.
Champions League football, of course, and we'll touch on some Europa action too, because
Mhm.
Roma and Milan advanced, and luckily none of us drew Liverpool or Bayer Leverkusen, which is
Last team to
thank God.
beat Leverkusen. I'm just gonna say that.
That is
Uh,
true. That is true. I forgot. So let's start off with All Star Weekend. What were your guys' thoughts on the weekend as a whole, like celebrity game, the competitions, and the actual game itself?
I think the
Which I
celebrity
thought
game
all three
was
were
the best out of anything, and none of those are
really.
professional athletes. I didn't enjoy anything out of
You didn't
like.
like Steph versus
No, okay, yeah,
Serena.
that's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
That to
definitely
me
the
was the
best.
best.
yeah, fair enough. That's definitely the best part of the weekend. But like the dunk contest was trash. Like I love Jalen Brown, but jumping over Kai Cenat with the
Yes.
Michael Jackson glove. Well, Kai Cenat was sitting down, and he's like Shannon said, he's 3 foot tall. Like, so
Bro, I
he's
could
one
fucking
foot,
jump over
one
him.
foot and a half sitting down. Like, it's not a good look.
No, it's not a good look at all. I agree. I've never been the biggest fan of celebrity games, anyways.
Mm,
Um, I usually like the sophomores and rookies game.
mm,
Um, as for the competitions, the skills to me hasn't been interesting since like the Steve Nash days, Kobe days, when those Deron Williams, Chris Paul, when like all those guys were doing
mm.
it. I thought it was good. Since then, doing Wade, of course, also. But since then, it hasn't had the same luster for me. The 3 point contest, it was okay, not the best. But of course, Steph versus Sabrina was by
Yeah.
far the best event. That was exciting. And Steph had to go clutch mode
Mm-hmm.
and win by 3. And then the dunk competition was just poor,
Mm-hmm.
poor to say the least. But listen, I know we're all going to rag on the dunk contest, but the dunk contest in the mid 2000s, it was seemingly good every year.
Yeah,
And then in the 2010s, like
it was
there would be
mediocre.
1 or 2 good years, and then there would be like a lull of like 3 years, and then 2016 happens with Zach Levine and Aaron Gordon, right?
Yeah.
And it's exciting again. Or then even last year, Mac McClung said
Yeah.
when he first came onto the scene,
Yeah.
it was good. Um, so like I understand everyone hates it for the most
Yeah.
part, like recently, and rightfully so. I get it, but you know, it happens. This isn't the first time where the dunk contest is. For me, the worst dunk contest I ever watched was Jeremy Evans. Um, and it was, I believe, it was Paul George's rookie year. And then there was also one where they did a team dunk contest that Damian Lillard won. That was awful. That was an awful
Damian Lillard
idea.
won a dunk contest.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, he won a dunk contest, and it was a team dunk contest.
Isn't he 6 foot
Um,
tall?
yeah, but he did some decent dunks. But the fact that it was a team and the way they did it was just it was off. It was off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's whatever. Like I don't walk into a dunk contest and
Yeah.
expect it to be good anymore. And then I mean the All-Star game itself was trash.
Like, just no one, like, no players care about the All Star anymore. That's why.
No.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And it's like you could say past years the dunk contest is mediocre. It's just it felt so much worse this year just because everything else around it was also so much worse. Like
Yeah.
they need to do something because I feel like it's becoming the Pro Bowl, and I feel like no one really cares about the Pro Bowl, especially. Well, I also think that's a scheduling issue. You don't put it a week before Super Bowl because no one, especially that no one's gonna care. But like fans are not gonna care. Like it's more of just cameras on celebrities now. Like look who showed up to
Yeah.
the All Star. It's like dude, no. I'd be honest, I didn't even watch any of it. I watched the Steph versus Sabrina, and that was it.
What's crazy to me is that like the West is so much better than the East, and you gave up 211 points.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
there
there's
is
no
no
def.
there's no
Yeah,
yeah.
that defense hasn't been played in an All Star game since
No,
the mid
but
2000s.
211 is crazy. 211 is crazy. That's insane. That's really insane. I like one thing I would like to see maybe as maybe to increase the level of competitiveness is play for home court advantage in
Like
the
do
finals.
what baseball does.
What baseball does.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like that would what's there not to be incentive like guys would play hard. Like
Mm.
I don't think you can do anything monetarily that would
100K is not enough. What they like,
stop.
the NHL gets $1 million for winning. You're telling me the
If you
NBA
wanted
gets 100K, and the NBA makes a lot more money than the NHL? That's wild.
if you wanted a monetary uh incentive that would maybe work, like I would say maybe giving $1 million to every player that wins and then 5 million for MVP.
That's a
Like
lot
So
that,
because
that's
isn't
a
the play-in tournament 500K?
yeah. But
Like,
like
and you're
the
not.
NBA, like you got to be willing to
yeah,
spend money,
Oh no,
or
no,
like
for
I
sure.
said,
But I'm just saying, like
yeah.
the fact that an actual tournament you get less than the All Star is just odd to me. Like
yes,
you would need to restructure all the numbers.
yes. But then if that's the case, like I said, it doesn't even have to be monetary. Just do um play for home court. Like
Mhm.
I don't see how guys wouldn't be playing hard for that. I'll let like
The only
obviously you're
people
gonna
that are
get
not
the
going to
guys
try are
that
the people that are in the bottom positions in the league, right?
right
But then again,
exactly
the coaches of the All Star game are the teams in with the number one seed. So he's going to play the
exactly
guys that are trying. So I feel like
exactly.
it works its way out in like in
I
a
and
long
I
run.
don't I think that's one thing that makes the baseball all-star game like better than it should
Yeah.
be because like norm like you know you in terms of excitement of the four major sports in North America, that's team sports.
Mhm.
That's like I would say the most boring to watch for the average person. I enjoy
Yeah.
it, but for the average person, it's the most boring to watch. But yet still, they have like the second best All Star weekend or All-Star game, whatever,
Yeah.
right? And I think that incentive, well, obviously the home run derby goes a long way, but I think the fact that there's actual stakes on the line for the All-Star game like helps out a lot. So I wish the NBA would adopt that model.
I
But do you
also
not find
saw,
it sorry, but do you not find it sad that you need to incentivize now for them? Like
yeah.
like I get it. It's a game that means nothing, but it's that game like so becoming an all-star means something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
this is what every player is basically striving for, and this game is for them to show that they've an all-star. It's also for every single fan coming to see these players showing off their skills out, like you know what I mean? Because in a game, you can show how great of a player you are, but in a game, you can't show off like these insane skills that you usually can, right? And that's what the All Star is
yeah,
for. So the fact that like we need to pay you more just to incentivize you, that already on top of we're telling you you're an All Star, like it's just I don't know, it's kind of sad.
it is. Yeah, you're right. And I know some people want USA versus the world, but I like that. I
I feel
like
like
that.
right now with like all the Europeans that the league's got now, I feel like it's a fairer
Yeah,
competition than it would have been in the past.
Yeah.
it's a viable option, and theoretically there should be more pride on the line because it's USA
Yeah.
versus the world. Like the USA wants to like show that we're still the
Hmm.
best at basketball, right? Because the European, not even the European, like just the world, right? Like
Yeah.
Joel Embiid, even though he wants to play for the US, whatever.
Yeah.
Jokic, Giannis, Luca, Shea Gilgis, like
Shea.
the
Yeah.
world is Jamal Murray. Like Jamal Murray should make that team. obviously, in my
Yeah.
opinion, even though he's never
Yeah.
made an All-Star team. So I feel like theoretically that should bring up the level of competition, but like I'm not sure. I'm not sure, you know.
Mm.
I think if that doesn't work, then I think you have to go. If that doesn't work, then I think you got to go back to East and West. No, yeah, that's a good point. But it's just the problem is that the East is so.
Yeah.
It's like if they actually try to think the West would have dominated, and that's the problem with the East and West for me. Um, and I guess again, I guess in theory, that would be the problem with playing for home field advantage. Sorry, home court advantage
Yeah.
is that the discrepancy in talent.
I saw
Yeah,
one
but are
thing.
you
Oh.
like if one team's like, are you really gonna how to explain it? Like just because the West is stronger, like, you're gonna change the whole course of it. Like I kind of feel like it is what it is. If the East was stronger, it would be the same conversation. It's just whatever conference is stronger that year. And I'll be honest, I don't care to make the playing field more even.
That's
If
fair.
you're
That's fair. I mean, listen, the best All Star game in recent history was the Elam ending, the year Kobe passed away.
Mhm.
Um, that first
That was
game was crazy.
it was the first
That
year they
first,
added in the new rule, right, about the score. Like there was no
yeah,
time or
yeah.
whatever.
yeah.
Uh, yes, exactly, exactly. That was the best All Star game I've probably ever seen. But before that, I mean, the best
Mhm.
games were always East versus West. But the problem, like the thing is that there wasn't at like you had LeBron on Cleveland, Kevin
Yeah.
Garnett on the Celtics, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, like yeah, Dwight Howard, right? Like it was
Yeah.
more evenly matched back then. Um, and to be fair, the East in the last couple of years is like they've had pretty good teams.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? They've had good players, um, but it's just the West is just
Yeah.
a freak show. It's got dominant players left and right. So I mean, we'll see what they do. Listen, one thing is that Adam Silver, I think, who's the best commissioner in sports, he is always looking to better the game.
Mhm.
And and I have total faith in him that he'll figure out a way to make it competitive and to give the fans the best product available. So I think he'll figure it out. One thing that I wanted previously was to have 4 or 5 teams of fives and just do a 5-on-5
Like
because I
what
just
the
felt like
NHL does. The NHL does
yeah,
the 3-on-3s.
exactly
Yeah.
because how can you not be
Yeah.
competitive on a 5v5? Like how can you not, right? Like that's just that's like pride on the line, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't want to be the one guy that's getting cooked on the court, you know. So that's another thing. Also another thing too, 1v1s. People want to see 1v1s as
Yeah.
maybe a competition.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that would be awesome. That would be awesome. I would love to see that. I don't know why they haven't done that.
I mean,
Uh,
that's like a Kyrie heaven,
yes,
and that'd
absolutely,
be exciting
right.
to see. Yeah.
And that's something that we should have had back in Kobe day. We could have maybe
Yeah.
saw Kobe LeBron like 1v1, like that would have been iconic. I've
In the
heard people
AI
say
days
logo
too.
three, a low AI days as well. Logo three competition. So from deep, that would be good also. I like that also. So like there's no shortage of ideas. That's
Yeah.
that's for certain. Um, and I was also thinking maybe they could do. I know a lot of people have spoken about, and even Stephen A. I'm pretty sure talking about this about how like getting professional dunkers, like people that do like
Yeah.
freestyle dunks, like on YouTube and stuff like that. And I like that, but I wouldn't, for me personally, like I wouldn't just want to see those guys because I want to watch
Once.
an NBA player.
Yeah.
So maybe you could do like NBA versus those guys.
I think that the NBA would get cooked.
Yeah. But
Like these
I
But
guys.
don't
but
mind
but
that being its own competition.
but what does it create though? It
Yeah.
creates more effort,
True.
Yeah.
right?
Unless you do a
Because
pairing.
you could do a pairing. You could definitely do a pairing. I'm just throwing things out
Yeah.
there,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But what would it do is that NBA players are not going to try to get. They don't want to get embarrassed. So what
Yeah.
are you going to do? You're going to come
You're
up
gonna
with Vince Carter like creativity. right?
Yeah.
Jason Richardson is one of the most slept on dunk contest winners of all time. His dunk contest was insane. Like it creates more creativity on the
Yeah.
part of the NBA players. So I I hope in the coming years that it'll become more interesting. The last really great All-Star weekend we had was 2016, and that's almost 10 years
Yeah.
ago. Wow, that's time
Don't
flies.
say that.
Yeah,
Freaking
that's
fucking old now.
So, listen, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I think with Adam Silver at the helm, I definitely think that
they'll figure something
it'll
out.
get back on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know when. Like, it's kind of bleak, like, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Is the issue is like I don't see it changing for at least like I see maybe one new event or one event that just becomes better, but I don't see it becoming better as a whole for a few years.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be like like a slow process. Like I feel it's like
Yeah.
one thing after another that is gonna change, and it'll maybe eventually get more exciting. But I don't think it's like all the changes are gonna come at once, and it's just gonna be like, yeah, the All Star game is back to like how it used to be. I feel like it's just
They
gonna,
they
it's
Yeah.
need
one
to, yeah.
competition at a time. Will like have like slight tweaks that'll make it more
I mean,
exciting for the
I
fans
don't
to
think there's
watch.
a problem with completely revamping it. I think that could work.
No, I'm not against that
Because
either. I'm just saying I
Yeah,
don't think it will happen. But I'm saying
yeah,
they need to pinpoint the proper ones. Like, for example, you need to pinpoint the All-Star game. You need to pinpoint the like it's not like okay, we're gonna make a change to 3-point contest. No one has or has had any issues with it really. Like it always
yeah.
been what it is. So like
hmm
there's certain things like they need to choose the right things to fix.
I would get rid of skills competition and either add. I mean, you could add a four. You could add like two more. I would take one out and replace it with two. So I would take out the skills contest and then I would replace it with a logo three and
1v1.
one. But then like, and who knows if the Sabrina and Steph thing will be a constant,
hmm
or if I did a skills competition, I would do it. I would include WNBA players in that because they're fundamentally
Yeah,
sound. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
I think
there's
this
no
opened the door for that. Like
yeah,
this year's
absolutely.
also opened the door for that.
I mean,
yeah,
I've seen people on Twitter recommend doing a Dame and like Caitlin Clark versus
yeah.
Sabrina and Steph, you know,
I
Yeah.
saw
type
that.
of
That
thing.
was a
Like
good.
why not? Like so there's so many ideas out there that you can just take, you know. So I mean, listen, like I said before, there's no shortage of ideas. But sticking on the NBA, JJ Redick um, came out and basically said that okay, first of all, Doc Rivers, he basically said when the Bucks hired him and fired Adrian Griffin, they were just like he was like, are you guys sure about this? Like,
What are you doing?
Yeah.
what are
How
you
do you tell
doing?
someone, hey, you want a job? But why are you firing your guy? Like, I'm offering you the job.
I,
Why are you asking me that? Like,
I kind
I
of
don't.
understand where he was coming from, just because
yeah,
it did like like you don't if you're getting a job, you're like you say yes, thank you, I'll do like you know what I mean. But it's like I kind of understand where he came from because it was kind of random. Like I understand there's like it's not like they're an awful team. Like I know there were some issues with the coach. I know like they weren't, I guess, the best version of them, but it's not like it didn't warrant like a on the spot firing, right? So that's where I understand where he's coming from a bit.
If David Blatt can not get fired after a full season with LeBron, I don't see why
yeah,
Adrian Griffin had to get fired. I don't.
Exactly.
yeah.
Right? Like David Blatt still got the team to the finals. They lost, and then they hired Ty Lue the following season, or sorry, I believe they
Midway
fired David
season.
Blatt midway
Yeah.
season and they
Yeah,
hired Ty Lue. But the point is that David Blatt at least got a season, right? Like
yeah,
Adrian Griffin, there's no reason he didn't deserve. They were top two in the East. There was
yeah.
no reason why he didn't deserve to go the whole season. Yeah, but I don't know what it is, and maybe more light needs to be shed on Giannis. Going, you know, he brought up how he's had four different coaches in the last year.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to talk about why you've had four different coaches in the last year. right? Maybe more onus needs to be, and sorry, maybe more light needs to be shed on you,
Hmm.
and maybe take more accountability, and maybe not. I don't want to say complaining, but being a
Yeah,
better leader, right? I'm not saying he's a bad leader. I'm not saying that he's a bad leader, but could he be better? I mean, when you go through 4 coaches in a
yeah.
year, I definitely think
Yeah.
there's things that you can improve on. Um, but JJ Redick, anyway, JJ Redick was just saying that Doc Rivers doesn't take accountability for the most part, and
Sounds like
I
two
agree.
people on that team now don't.
I agree though, because
Yeah.
Oh,
and I go back to when Doc coached Detroit Pistons, sorry, not the Orlando Magic, and he won
mhm,
Coach of the Year. I believe it was in 2001 that he won Coach of the Year, and they had Tracy McGrady. I believe they had Drew Gooden as well. And the Detroit Pistons were not the Detroit Pistons yet. They were in the makings of becoming the '04 Pistons, but they weren't there yet. And the Orlando Magic, as an 8th seed, were up 3-1, and they lost to the Pistons. Pistons came back down from 3-1 and beat the Orlando Magic. And then, a couple years back, Doc was talking about, when people were talking about how many 3-1 leads he's dropped, because he's dropped, I believe, 3 now, if I recall. No, yeah, he's dropped 3 3-1 leads. So Orlando, the Clippers, and the
yeah,
Clippers again. And he said about Orlando, he's like, we weren't that great of a team. We shouldn't even have been up, um, 3-1, essentially. Uh, so we didn't like, that's the reason why we didn't get the
yeah.
job done. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
our team wasn't good enough, and it's like
dude,
you were up,
like,
like
you
you
were
had
up
one.
3-1. So
Yeah, you.
obviously you were doing something right. And you didn't make the coaching adjustments, right? When the Clippers lost, we down one, up 3-1 against the Rockets, there was
Yeah.
excuses. When the Clippers lost to the Nuggets 3-1,
Mhm.
there was excuses. And Paul George said it in his pod, like when his podcast was like
Yeah.
first started. Oh, sorry, not when
JJ
his
Redick.
podcast was first started.
Oh,
When Paul George was on All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, he was talking about how he felt like Doc was trying to use him more like a Ray Allen,
okay.
right?
Just spot up
Have that
and
spot, like, not really that, and that's not Paul George's
no.
game. Like, he's good with the ball in his hand. He can create. He's, to me, he's the smoothest player in the league. Um, he's just he's an all around guy, and
Yeah.
Doc wasn't using him in that way. And then you
Yeah.
see with Ty Lue, like, to me, he's a lot better with Ty Lue, and I think Ty Lue's a great coach.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with Doc, right? Like, Marcin Gortat co-signed what JJ Redick said, and I know obviously Austin Rivers is going to defend his dad. Obviously,
Yeah.
Pat Bev
That,
came. We know that how that turned out, but Doc Rivers, I don't think JJ Redick lied. He doesn't
yeah.
take accountability as much as he should.
It's funny because we were talking about this in our first episode. When he was saying like, "Oh, we just don't have a good enough team
Yeah.
on paper and all that," and then like I'm just so happy that JJ Redd kind of said it because I feel like it just basically said what everyone else was saying for years that
Yeah.
doesn't really have like doesn't have that precedence on television or whatever. Like, how many? It's just like how many excuses can you come up with? And I just feel like everyone's thinking that he may not have meant it, but like I don't know, man.
And he's had some good teams, so for him to only
Yeah.
have one NBA championship is like something.
He's had a lot of really good teams. He's had a
Yeah.
lot of really good teams. They had no business, when Chris Paul and all those guys were on the Clippers. They had no business losing to the Rockets down 3-1, because
Yeah.
they could have beaten the Clippers. They could have beaten the Golden State Warriors that year, because that's
Yeah.
that's the year that Golden State won their first title,
Hmm.
and they could have beaten them because the Warriors didn't. I mean, neither did the Clippers, but like, it's like two teams that don't know how to win a championship yet,
Yeah.
and that was their best chance to get them. And you let a James Harden-less
Yeah.
Rockets team. James Harden didn't even play
Yeah.
in that I believe it was third and fourth quarter when the Rockets came down from like 16 or something like that. Like, it's unacceptable, right? And winning one title with the Boston Celtics, those Celtics teams,
Yeah.
unacceptable, right? And I know there was injuries and whatever, and
Yeah.
KG after you guys had won.
Yeah.
Once again, Brew was a Celtics fan. After you guys beat the Lakers in 08, KG
Yeah.
was injured. You
For
know,
the
he
second time
couldn't
around.
really get going for the second time around, and then
And Kendrick
the
Perkins
Lakers beat
too. Don't
Orlando.
disrespect him too.
No, but that wasn't that year. Like
Oh, okay.
the year that Orlando made it to the finals.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the
KG was
second
dealing with
year of
injuries.
when
Yes,
we saw you guys in the second year around.
exactly. And then the second time around in 2010, that's when KG was, back to being KG to some degree, and you
Yeah.
guys got to the finals once again. And then, of course, Kendrick Perkins got hurt in that he didn't play in that game 7, and I thought that was a big deal that he didn't play, and it wasn't. The game was ugly in terms of the scoreline and a lot of misses, but like it was still great. Like it was still a
Yeah.
great game. Like I know it didn't look um like everyone's making like firing on all cylinders, but it was still
Yeah.
a great game nonetheless. Champions League. It was this round of 16 match. Like normally in the round of 16, there's like one good matchup, like really good matchup, and like I don't find that there's one really good one. Like I think the most intriguing is probably Napoli, Barca, and Inter and Atletico. Um, but they're like, normally there's like, Bayern, PSG, or something of
Yeah.
that magnitude. And there wasn't this time around, but that's totally fine. And Dortmund played PSV. They drew. I'm still hurt that AC Milan did not make it out of that group. Heartbreaking, very heartbreaking.
We could get to Europa later. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But they tied. I'll be honest, I didn't watch the game. I watched highlights. I'm just not clamoring to DAZN to go watch Dortmund and PSV. It's no shade. It's just not a matchup that interests me. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize to the people that are PSV and Dortmund fans. I don't think I've ever met personally a Dortmund or PSV fan. I don't think I've ever met a fan of a Dutch team in person. Obviously, I'm sure they're out there. But I haven't met them. I haven't met them.
Like
Dortmund,
PSV is looking good, but Dortmund's just Dortmund every year, and it's just like
you know that they're not like outside of that year with Klopp, when they went to the final against Bayern. And of course, in '97, they won in '97. And in the late '90s and the early 2000s, they were like in the semi-final picture like quite a bit.
Yeah.
And they beat Juve in '97, like I said before. But you know what I mean? Like they're just there. They're like
they
a
lost.
Benfica.
They lost that competitive team, and it's not like they're not competitive. Like if you're making Champions League, you are. But like they lost that core group, and then once that group ended, it was kind of they're just coasting through onto the same. It's like a repeat of every year, repeat
They're
of
in
every year.
purgatory.
Yeah,
They're in purgatory. Like they're never okay. Maybe not say never, but like once in a decade they'll be good enough to make it to the final and potentially win it, but like not on a consistent basis. They'll
It's
always
'cause-
be in the picture.
Yeah.
They're like a Benfica, like a Porto, like those teams like
They get their
they're
guys
always
and
in
then
the
they
picture.
cash in, which is like
the
sad part, right? Like Jude and Haaland, like they had I mean, Sancho's back now, so it's like let's see what happens with him. But it's like it's always like you get a big star and then they sell him. When they went to the Champions League final, it was Mario Götze, and then he built up his career, and then he went to Bayern Munich. So it's just like it's been their thing. They just lose their great players.
Yeah, a lot of teams are like that in the Champions League.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate because you look at Bart, like we can transition to the Barca Napoli game. If this was last year's Barca team against last year's Napoli team, I would have been
a good battle.
Yeah.
I would have been locked in. But like both teams, and Napoli more so than Barca, are shelling themselves. Are shelling themselves.
They're already on their third coach of the season. It's
like come on, that's crazy. And granted, I don't think Napoli, I know they have not been good in the league. They have not been good in Serie A. But they didn't look that bad against Barca. They did not look that bad.
I think it was more that Barca didn't play well.
Yeah,
rather than Napoli looking good.
Like Barca just didn't look threatening going forward a lot. Like they'd had some occasions and then the play would just drop dead.
Yeah.
Like it just turned everything just turned into nothing.
Yeah. And I
Also,
think that speaks to them not really having, Lewandowski he's an all-time great, but he's not the Lewandowski of old.
mhm.
I don't know if
So
that system particularly fits him.
I mean, since the turn of the year, he's been back to his goal scoring ways.
He's
I think
been
he has
back,
like,
but outside of Lewandowski, like who's really a threat,
oh no,
right? Like,
that's
Yeah.
your guy João Felix hasn't lived
Yeah.
up to
But that's why he's
his
also.
potential.
But like this, look, Lewandowski's gonna do Lewandowski. It's not like I mean, he's
Yeah.
scoring, but he's not like Barca needs a false nine than a number nine. That's all
with the
traditionally,
construction, with the way this team is constructed, yes.
and they've always been constructed like that.
Yeah.
They've always been
Yeah.
Just full of too
midfield
many mids.
heavy,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean. They just beat you off just tiki taka. Like
Yeah. I mean,
it's
look
not
when
like
they had
you offer Lewandowski. I'm not gonna say no,
yeah.
but I'm just saying he's not like they're chase. I feel for the few years now, Barca. Well, look, you could few years now you could speak about a lot about Barca and just their organization, how awful it is. But they're just. I feel like it's chasing names rather than building a structure. And then like
I
you get
feel as of
Pedri,
lately, it's
Gavi, and all that.
yeah.
They started and then they make this random purchase, and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I,
I also didn't
like
like
the
Pedri
Joao
on the left.
Felix.
Like I didn't like
Yeah, I didn't like that
Pedri
either.
playing like
Yeah, no.
Christensen's a center back. Why is he got to be in the midfield? It was just off. And like even during the game, you hear the commentators. He doesn't have the range of passing. Well, he's a center back. Like
Yeah.
there's a reason why he's not usually in that defensive midfielder position. I feel like you could have
Yeah.
put De Jong as that holding midfielder, and then
I love Dion. I really do.
yeah,
I feel like he's wasting his talents at Barca right now.
and which is odd to say for a midfielder wasting their talents, right? Like that's usually like
Yeah.
a system where midfielders thrive.
Yes.
Is you just don't. It doesn't feel like you hear about him enough. I mean, they have Pedri and Gavi, who are their Spanish guys that I feel like get thrown out there a lot more, and I feel like Pedri is going to be a stud for a long time.
For sure.
He's not an Iniesta. He's not a guy who can play the wing. It doesn't look like he can play the wing as good as Iniesta could. Like Iniesta was pretty much able to play anywhere like
Yeah.
in different positions up top, even though it wasn't like in a striker position. But he played center forward a little bit. He played on the wings. He played in the midfield. Like I don't think Pedri's that type of midfielder, but in the middle, like he can dictate and make great pass. The goal was it wasn't like a stellar pass, but it was great vision for him to see, look up, and Lewandowski was making the little inside cut in, and he just gave him a perfect ball for the goal. Like I don't know. I feel like, and it looked like he was playing in the midfield in that position. I don't know. For me, just him set up on the wing, I feel like they could have done without Christensen. Maybe started Rafinha, and they would. I think they could have had a couple more chances, but like
It's because I think they need some strength in the midfield.
yeah,
I mean, hell, you could have put Joao Felix on the wing. Like he's played the wing before, right?
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
what I
not
would have done.
ideal, but you can still do it. And he does it for Portugal because Ronaldo's not leaving the
and
striker
then they got
position.
Giancarlo Ramos too, that they got as striker there too now. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about that. Because he shouldn't have started against Morocco, but that's whatever.
he scored a hat trick the game before.
That doesn't matter though. Because you saw when Ronaldo came onto the field that he had their best opportunity to score, and I believe Bono, if I recall correctly, made a great save.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's not. I digress. Listen, Napoli have a tall task on their hand because now you got to go back to the Bernabeu. So
Paused.
whoa, Barca fans, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
But they're not going to the Camp Nou. They're not. It's under construction. They're playing at the Olympic Stadium.
That is true. I forgot.
Yeah.
Which is, you know what? It's still a tall task for Napoli, but
Yeah.
not being at the Camp Nou.
Oh, Camp Nou is different.
Deal.
Yeah.
That different. You hear players talk about it all the time, like when they walk into the Camp Nou or the Bernabeu, it's like
there's certain stadiums
energy.
That have different
energy.
The Dortmund Stadium is another stadium.
Yes.
It's just you feed
Roma.
off that crowd. Yeah,
Stadio Olimpico. Like watching that game against I know we'll touch on Europa League a little bit later, but watching that game against Feyenoord, like the
start of extra time, the crowd was yelling their songs like it was the beginning of the game. There was no die down to anybody in that crowd.
Yeah, but who do you guys have winning the second leg?
Uh, for Barca Napoli,
Yeah,
I think I'd be shocked to see Napoli win just because of such a or I was shocked they even drew. The coach, he was hired
Osimhen
two
made a
days
great
before.
play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that
He
coach was hired
muscled.
2 days before that game, so it's like
Yeah,
the system's not even in play yet for him to like develop anything. But
yeah,
I feel like it's just a tall task for Napoli to get out of that game.
to go into yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I
right.
give I give the edge to Barca, but it's like I think it's just gonna be a game like the first leg. Like I think it's like a 2-1 win, but it's like a late 2-1 win.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
Barca
listen,
is not showing that prowess. You know what I mean? Like they have
no,
there's a lot of build up that's amazing, and like Barry said, it kind of just dies. And I don't see that changing for the next game. So that's why I'm saying it's like a 2-1, like a late 2-1 win, or it goes into extra time.
you see, like Osimhen's always a threat,
yeah,
always. And like I don't think Napoli played horribly, but like they there was like a lot of just like they didn't really get Osimhen good
yeah,
balls, right? Like the one pretty good ball that he got, he scored. And
yeah,
if they want to beat Barca away from home, Kvaratskhelia has to step up.
yeah.
Yes, he I didn't
Yeah.
even notice he was on the field.
Took him
I
off.
didn't even notice. I
Yeah,
didn't even notice. Like he needs to step up. Um, he's regressed from last season,
Yeah.
and
But
there could be a
everyone
whole. I
has.
mean,
Everyone has.
yeah, there could be a whole host of reasons as to why.
yeah. I think the
But he just,
Spalletti loss is a big loss for them.
of course, absolutely. But he needs to have a good game. If he doesn't have a good
Yeah,
game, there's and listen, Kunde is good.
that
Kunde is
and
good,
Araujo, like
and
those.
Yeah.
like they're good. But like
Uh,
Kunde clamped Kvaratskhelia up. Like there
yeah,
was a ball that was played, and Kvaratskhelia was running for it, and like he got no pace compared to like zero pace compared to
yeah,
Kunde. Like Kunde just outran him to the ball, and I said, "Dang, bro!" Like
yeah.
if
That's been a big
he
knock on
his
Kvaratskhelia is
game,
that he doesn't have that burst. Like
no,
he's
no,
great with the
No,
ball
but
at his feet and he can make
yes,
plays,
yeah.
but he doesn't have that extra gear.
That's
Like
why he's not
when
fit
it
for
comes to
Napoli.
yeah,
I
a
mean,
Leao would
you
be
can't
more
be like a
fit.
1-2 punch with like zero pay. Like you know what I mean? It's an
yeah,
Osimhen and Cavacelia show, right? So if one's
Yeah,
off, I feel like the whole team kind of drops. That's why
that's
he's
true.
better fit. He's better fit. Like he would be great in a Barca system because they hold the ball. They're not long balling.
yeah,
They're not running. They give the ball to him wide. Like you know what I
Strategic.
mean? He's good with
yeah,
the ball on his feet, not good chasing the ball.
I think he would even be good on Inter, right? Because
Yeah.
that they're not they don't got speed demons
no,
all over the
No.
field, right? They're just so. We'll get to them. We'll get to them right now.
Yeah.
Inter versus
yeah.
Atletico. Oh, you know what? Listen, I'm a Milan fan. Obviously, I don't like Inter, but
That team's
I
good.
do. The team is
It's
freaking yo
they're well.
yo.
I've been a huge fan of Inzaghi, Simone Inzaghi, since I despise Lazio.
Yes,
He was great there. What he
yes.
did for that system was fantastic, and I thought it was a great move for him to go to Inter. And that team is running on all cylinders right now, and it pains me to
I'll
say it.
um. It, they're fucking good. They're so good. Like, but I will say, I was Marcus Thuram should be back for the second leg.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh,
Arnautovic missed it. He missed a
couple.
700
crazy, but
chances.
Yeah,
like
he missed a couple sitters.
like his biggest miss, the build-up play
Oh, that was
was
beautiful.
beautiful.
From
Yeah.
the
It
back
was
end, from starting with the goalie and everything, it was perfect. I mean, the ball was like a touch too far for him, but I think that was just because he doesn't have enough pace to get to the ball, and I feel like
yeah,
He's a
Thuram would have
target
got
man.
to it. But like
yeah,
for him, the ball was just a tad too far for him to reach it.
yes. And they dominated. Like they
Yeah,
dominated. Like Atletico had a couple of chances, but
Yeah.
like for the most part they
But that's
dominated.
like
But I
Atletico's game plan too.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Like
that's why
you
I was a
never
little bit
Atletico never dominates. It's defend and counter on whatever
yeah,
little like is Inter better? Yes. Was Inter better in the game? Absolutely. But it's like it's I can say this for a lot of the games. None of them are over because they're all like close games. And it's like
yeah,
you count Atletico Madrid out, but they're never out. That's the
Mm.
issue. Like, you know what I mean? You're like the Inter basically won across the board, yet it was still only 1-0. So it's like,
yeah,
Yeah.
look, they miss a lot of chances, but it's like Atletico somehow just keeps doing that.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
I,
always like they're chasing the game and still somehow wins. And you're like, what?
but that's why
That's
I was
just their
concerned.
repertoire.
That's why I was concerned for Inter because like I thought it was like a bit of a style. Like they're not that they're similar because I think Inter is far more clinical.
Mhm.
Um, but like I was just concerned in terms of matchup, right? Because if Inter can't bury one,
Yeah.
what's gonna
Yeah.
happen, right? Then you're leaving things to chance. But they
That's
got the
kind of
one
how it
nil
is right
lead.
now.
Yeah, they got the one nil lead. Sorry, and this good now. Atletico, it's going to be hard pressed to,
Yeah.
score against Inter. It's absolutely going to be hard pressed. You're not
They're
just
going
going
back
to.
to Atletico though.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But it's still going to be difficult nonetheless because
Yeah.
Inter, like we're saying, they're just to me they're a top
They're a
three
top.
team in the world right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like like it's crazy because there's no one like like this is just a team that's playing amazing as a team.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
They're well
this
coached.
is a product of the coach, not a product of superstars.
Yes.
I'm.
I'm not
I
saying
mean,
there aren't and there aren't
I feel
players
like
shining.
Barella is a little slept on as a midfielder. I think he's one
Yeah.
of the best
He didn't have
mids
the
in the
best of
world right
games
now.
yesterday actually, or not yesterday, last game against
Yeah,
Atletico.
but I'm just saying, like overall, he's one of the better midfielders in the world, and I just feel like he's just not talked about enough.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because he's
Yeah.
in Italy, but like that guy is special.
Yeah. But I think it's mainly a product of the coach,
Yeah,
this team, rather than like it being carried by just an unreal lineup,
yeah.
which they are, but
I mean, Lautaro is having the best season of his career right now. He's far and away the top goal scorer in the league, and he's
I you could say he's a top scorer of the league every
yeah,
year. I will not care because when it comes to anything outside of the league, he has done nothing.
he's
Yeah. He kind of has that.
Immobile.
Thank you. Yes. He goes MIA. He goes MIA.
the
Outside of
big
Italy, he's
moments.
MIA.
Yeah, and that's something that if they want to win, but luckily, honestly, I think Marcus Thuram. I think I mean, listen, you look at his track record, at least in Serie A against the big teams, he's produced. He's produced. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
even if Lautaro can't do it and Lukaku couldn't, like Lukaku, he's another one in big moments. I do not trust him. But
we
Thuram,
can get to that later.
I just don't trust him ever,
We
so
can
it's
talk
fine.
about that in the
yes,
next game.
yes,
Because
Thuram can. I feel like he's a big game player.
Yeah.
Porto Arsenal. Arsenal don't register a shot on target. Um, Pepe, 40 years old. He played great. I can't lie. He played great. He
still
played
can't
great.
believe he broke my guy's record. Oldest
Yes,
man in the Champions League to score a goal, and he's a center back.
I know. It's insane. Uh,
Yeah.
and Porto really should have been up 1-0 early. Like Galeno had that opportunity, hit the crossbar, and the reaction
Oh,
time of him was insane. And like Arsenal is absolutely lucky that he narrowly missed
mhm.
opening up the scoring far earlier. And then he buries the winner in the 94th minute, whatever it was. And it didn't even like, listen, I'm not a keeper. I don't know. But like, it looked like if he had positioned himself better, he could have saved it. That's what it looked like. But
Yeah,
I don't think,
I it's not an easy thing to save. But I also think it was a misplay on the keeper side.
yeah.
But again, it's when I said the Lazio Bayern loss and I wasn't surprised. I'm also not surprised. Like when has Arsenal has finally become Arsenal again in the league.
Yeah.
They have not shown this yet in Champions League or Europa League. Like you know what I mean? They haven't shown this
Mhm.
out in Europe. And Yes, Porto hasn't won since Mourinho, but Porto is in Champions League year in, year out, and it shows.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the experience that Arsenal doesn't have now, hasn't had for a while.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's true.
And like
I mean,
we talked about last week, sometimes Saka disappears, right? It's just he
Yeah.
hasn't got that consistency yet in his game.
because they're not used to playing those big European clubs, right? Like Paul mentioned, like they have this is their first, at least this rendition of the team.
This
is their
core.
first taste of
Mhm.
big clubs in Europe.
Yeah.
I know, Declan Rice played for West Ham. They beat Fiorentina, but Fiorentina is not no big club. You know what I
The
mean? With all due
conference is
respect.
not the same.
Exactly.
Hey,
So
hey. Yeah.
It's a participation trophy.
We got the first ever trophy. We got it. That's all that matters.
Congrats, you won the participation award.
you should have won the second one too. But that's a whole other conversation.
My
That-
seven
no,
aside
that's
league
Europa
trophy
League.
is basically the
That's-
same.
Sorry, yeah, you should have won Europa League. But like, now listen, Porto got to go to Arsenal, which will definitely not be easy. And listen, aside from that game, Arsenal's been dominant in the league. Like,
Yeah.
they've been piling up goals like crazy. So Porto's definitely going to have their hands full. But I'm just curious to know, like, if they can pull it off, right? Because Porto's been here and done. Porto beat Juve when they had Ronaldo. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're no stranger to beating big clubs, and for a lot of the times they play clubs that are bigger than them because the Portuguese teams are very good. No disrespect, but
Yeah.
you're going up against Juve, you're going up against Real, like you go up against these teams, they're obviously gonna be deficient talent wise in comparison to those teams.
But it's
So
these smaller teams are always better coached. They're always they're better structurally. They don't let you have many chances, so the chances you do have, you got to take them. But like, it's just how that's how they have to play for them to be competitive because they don't have. I mean, there's a lot of teams that don't have the money anymore these days, but like they just don't have the funds to get the talents that especially in England, but like just the rest of the world has right now.
Exactly. So who you guys have winning the second leg?
I think Arsenal will pull through. I think probably. I think it'll be probably like a 2-0 win.
But like, Porto.
You going with Porto?
I think Porto goes through. Is it a Porto win? Because technically, if they go through on a draw, I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Also, I'm starting to think they should bring back the away goal.
No.
Stop
Hear
that.
me out.
It makes it more
okay.
exciting at the end sometimes, but it's just like you don't want to go like. For me, scoring a goal away doesn't mean I should win the game. Like it just doesn't.
I want the excitement back, but not in this in that
but
rule.
Bro, like how can you replicate the excitement though? You know what I mean? Like, and maybe but you know what? Maybe also it's because the quality of clubs and the quality of players is not what it once was. But like you look at you know what? I'm on the fence about it because you look at that first year where they did take it away.
Yeah.
Real Madrid went on that crazy comeback spree against Chelsea, against PSG, against Man City. Like that was exciting, right? So maybe it's a club thing. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we're starting to usher back into the era where there's so many good players, right? I feel like it's on the horizon. I feel like it's coming. There's been a lull for maybe like 2, 3, 4 years, maybe, right? Like once the Sergio Ramos era kind of went on the decline, obviously Ronaldo, Messi, they've still been good. But
you don't talk
but those
about
are that's a different class right on its own. So it's like it's
players, and then you have Ronaldo, Messi.
Yeah, exactly. It's not comparable.
Exactly. But anyways.
But I don't think that excitement's gone. I think we're just saying it now because the first round hasn't been lackluster. It just hasn't been
But that's
exciting.
The usual thing with Champions League. Like it's always the second round that's the more exciting because you get rid of all
Yeah.
Like all the smaller. Like, there's always the one or two upsets, but usually the smaller teams are out by round two, and then you have the juggernauts that play each other.
Oh, I'm not even
Yeah.
saying that. I'm saying
Oh,
the first leg, 1-0
Mhm.
Real,
yeah,
one
it's been
nothing
all 1-0.
Lazio,
Yeah,
1-1, 1-0, 1-1, like 1-0.
none
Like
of the no high
it's the
scoring games.
perfect setup for the second leg excitement because
Yeah.
nothing is there's other than Man City's 3-1 and maybe PSG's 2-0, which can still come back.
It's Copenhagen.
I'm not writing nothing off for Champions League. But you know what I mean? Like they're all the games are a 1-goal game. Like this is the perfect setup for a second leg,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
spectacle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Europa League. Let's talk about Milan. I'm gonna breeze through this because we don't really spend too much time on this. But Milan versus we lost 3-2, but we won 5-3 on
To
aggregate.
Rennes, no? You guys played Rennes?
Yeah. Did I not pronounce it properly? I said
Oh,
with the French accent.
fair enough.
We won 5-3 on aggregate. Leao scored a great solo goal. But just to give you context, his player rating at the end of the match was, if I can recall correctly, 6.4.
And he scored a goal?
So that just tells you how bad he played.
Yeah.
To have a goal.
Yeah. Score a goal in
The ball probably hit him and went in the net.
Yeah, terrible. But listen, we've given up 7 goals in the last 2 games to Monza and not ideal.
Pioli ball, everyone's favorite.
But luckily we got a favorable draw. We're playing Slavia Praha. There's no disrespect, but Milan's a superior team. We should win, but we'll see what happens. All I know is that if Milan and Roma play, hopefully, myself, Barufa, I don't think Paul will reach.
What?
Myself, Barufa, and Joseph, who hopefully one day will make an appearance on Unmatched, will be at that game. One of them, at least.
Which one?
Milan,
Milan
Roma.
playing Europa League.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go willingly. Like, I'm not gonna say no, but like, I mean, there's a couple of teams I put ahead.
I mean, if it's a final, it's a final, right?
Yeah.
Of what? The Conference Cup again?
Don't do that.
No, the
don't
Europa League. Let's relax. We all don't have unlimited funds to buy players like you.
I know.
Can't spend 300 million a season.
Dude, if Porto played Dortmund in the final Champions League, I think I'd still take that game.
No, you're crazy. Stop.
Dude, it's Champions League final. I'm sorry.
No. I wouldn't take that game over Milan Roma in the final. No shot.
Yeah.
But let's speaking of Roma, let's Roma Feyenoord. I mean, listen, I don't know the rules, maybe, I guess. But that to me, Feyenoord's goal should not have counted. I'm sorry.
It looked more like shoulder than it did arm. So it's like
Yeah.
I can see how it was allowed because it looked like
he
it was like
he looked like he did it on purpose though.
Oh,
that's what bothers
absolutely
me.
looked like he did it on purpose.
He
But
looked
I felt
like he
like
went like this. You shouldn't be allowed to do that.
If it hits the shoulder, if you do it with your shoulder, you're allowed.
It's fine. I mean, Ballo did it back in the day.
It looked like
Yeah.
it looked like
It's probably because his arm flailed, so it looked like it kind of just like wrapped.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? It kind of rolled onto it. But I mean, it was like 98% shoulder, let's be honest. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe 2% of the ball cover your arm. And it's like, yes, are you like you can't like if it hits the arm, it hits the arm, no matter what percentage hits the arm. It's just it's a tough call to make. And I like going either side saying yes or no, that was a goal. I think there's less scrutiny saying it's a goal than if it was and he said it wasn't a goal.
It's okay. Pellegrini came back 15 minutes later with a nice shot from outside the box.
Beautiful goal. And then you guys won in pens, and Lukaku missed that.
That hit with his weird run up where he has to do his
He didn't play well. He missed a lot of opportunities.
I mean, he hasn't played well.
He missed a chance right at the end of the extra time in the 120th minute. He was alone in front with the goalie. Goalie made a good save, but like you got to bury those. Like that would have ended the game. I wouldn't have had to stress throughout all of pens, especially after he missed the second pen. CR has come in and He's been so much better than Rui Patricio has in Patricio's 3 years of starting for us in
He's
just this
also
little
what, like
sample size.
55?
He's old. You
Yeah.
can tell he was a very good goalie when
Oh, he was an amazing goalie.
he
I'm
played
just
for
saying he's
Monaco, for
old
Portugal. Like
now.
he's had a good career, but at 38,
Yeah.
your skills kind of just your reflexes. They
Yeah.
diminish. And Sviar has come in and he saved 2 pens. He almost had another one. It hit his fingertips, but he's come in and played fantastic the last couple of games.
Who's your backup striker?
Right now it's Azmoun
Okay.
from
Tammy's
Iran.
coming back. Tammy's coming back.
They just
Oh,
announced
it's true. I forgot Tammy was injured. Because y'all need him
Tammy's.
back. Because I'll be honest, Lukaku, like, how you're a professional soccer player and you don't know how to control a soccer ball.
Yeah, but that's always been
Like,
his knock, right? He has no first touch. He doesn't.
He can't
Like,
dribble.
he can't do anything.
Love him though. I love him. Love him, but he
he
can't
can
dribble.
finish. You can finish. Like
He's
usually
a
you can
great
finish
finisher.
with the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
the issue is everything needs to be done, and then he needs just to put the ball in the net. So everyone needs to do everything else, and then he needs to just kick the soccer ball. And it's like, okay, come on, man.
yeah, no, but they had just announced that Tammy is back in training, and he should be at the start of March. He should be back in like the lineup. So hopefully
Yeah, y'all need him.
it's kind of similar type of strikers, but not really. Tammy's more of like a target man and hold up striker. He's better with the ball at his feet. He can
Anyone's
dribble
better
past
with the
someone.
ball.
He can
I'm
make
better with the
passes. He
ball.
can hold.
You'll need him against Brighton, that's for sure.
That's a
Yeah.
tough matchup. That's a
Yeah.
tough
Is it
matchup.
though right now? Like if
Yeah.
Matoma's not healthy, is it really like it's the Zebri's a very good coach, so like a lot
Pascal
of things can
Gross
happen. But
Evan
yeah,
Ferguson's nice though.
and Sufati's
yeah,
on the
Ferguson.
team.
Yeah, but like I feel like Matoma is that guy who like is that difference maker on that
The
team.
driving force.
Yeah, and if he's not I don't think he's playing this week, and I think he's a little banged up. So like if he's not 100% fit for that matchup, I feel like we should it's going to be a close matchup, both legs, but I feel like we should have the slight advantage if Matoma's not healthy.
But can I say also, now until the next game, knock on wood,
Dybala's not
Roma,
playing. Dybala's not
yeah,
playing until the matchup.
Dybala's not playing. B,
I don't
Roma
want to see him
has
risk.
7,000 injuries every damn year. So there's a lot of time between now and the game against Brighton for some glass knees to shatter. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. I never wish that on it, but I'm just saying.
Well, they said I think they already said this weekend against Torino we're not going to play Dybala or Lukaku. Just they need some rest. They play every game.
Yeah.
So
is the game next week?
It's the 7th, I think it might be.
Oh, okay. So 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, there's usually a little pretty good break in between.
I think it's the 7th and the 14th are the 2 legs.
Top fives.
Hmm.
So this week's top five is our top 5 sports.
Oh, goodbye.
Okay, my top 5. Number 5, Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
Number 4, Semi-Pro.
Okay.
That movie is hilarious. And Will Ferrell's song, Love Me Sexy, priceless. Andre 3000, Woody Harrelson, amazing. I love that movie. Number 3, Longest Yard.
Which one?
Adam
Original?
Sandler.
Yeah.
Come on, stop it. Adam Sandler.
The original was actually pretty good. I watched
it.
It
is. It's very good, but like
the original doesn't have Michael Irvin, Nelly, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kevin Nash,
Terry Crews,
Ray Khali, Terry Crews.
Yeah.
So that version of Longest Yard. Number 2, White Man Can't Jump. Chris Rock also. White Man Can't Jump. Love that movie. Wesley Snipes, Woody Harrelson again. Great movie. And number 1, Any Given Sunday, baby. Any Given Sunday, Al Pacino, LL Cool J, Jamie Foxx, Dennis Quaid, Lawrence Taylor. Like, what? Stars, bro. There's stars all over. And it was just a wild and raunchy movie. It felt like I know a lot of people don't like it,
Al Pacino's speech, fantastic. It was just, it's my favorite movie. Willie Beeman, come on, Jamie Foxx, star quarterback. Like, it was just, I love the movie. I really love the movie. I think it's a great movie.
Paul, what you got?
Go ahead.
No.
You go ahead.
No. Go first.
All right. Top. Okay. Actually, kind of sidebar. Do you consider Rocky a sports movie? I mean, it's boxing, right?
Yeah.
What? Of course, bro.
Yeah. I have it in mind. So.
All right. Number 5, I'll put Miracle. Number
Great speech.
4,
Movie.
yeah. Number 4, I go Remember the Titans. Number 3, see, my 2 and 3, I feel like are a toss up. No, you know what? I'll do this. Okay, so 4 and 5 stay the same. My number 3, I'll go Rocky. Number 2, I'll go Coach Carter. And number 1, and this is purely because I think I've watched it 7,000 times, Kicking and Screaming. That movie, I before every soccer game, me and my dad watched it. So I think I'm at like 7,000 watches. That and a bowl of passum for any soccer game. Putting in number 1.
That movie almost made my list, but I didn't end up putting it, but it almost
dude.
made my list.
Sentimental reasons, I am putting that number 1. It was amazing.
That movie's great.
Yeah. I'm prefacing my list. It's might not be the greatest, but these are my favorite movies. My favorite sports movies. So might not stand up for like great movies, but
it's all personal. It's not what it's just
exactly.
It's just
I already know which movie's in there.
I got number 5. I got Sandlot. I'm just gonna throw that in there. Fuck, I love Sandlot. It's just like childhood movie growing up. Gotta have it in there.
That movie's whack. Continue though. Continue.
Number 4, I got Rocky. Number 3, I'll have The Longest Yard. Actually, nah. A different Adam Sandler movie. Number 3, I got Happy Gilmore.
I knew it.
Love that movie. Just change it up. Happy Gilmore's in there. You can't. It's great. Those early Adam Sandler movies were just fantastic. Like, might not be great movies, but they're great comedies. Number 2, got Coach Carter. And number 1, I think I've watched this. What is probably my most watched movie is Moneyball. It's not like directly of playing the sport, but just like I just like it's just the management side of things and how Billy Beane had to like deal with the money constraints of the Oakland A's. Like I don't know. And like Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill are fantastic in that movie. So it's like got to be up there for me.
There's so like this. Honestly, I think this was my hardest top 5 because there's just a lot of good movies.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at a list now just to like refresh my memory. Like there's Invincible, there's 42, there's
got Bend It Like Beckham.
Bend It Like Beckham. Then you also
So
have
got Game in my too.
Gritty was it Gritty Run Gang? You got new ones that came out like the Iron Claw, which is wrestling. I would consider.
I was gonna put it in my list, but I didn't.
I haven't seen it yet.
You have The Last Dance, right? It's more of a documentary.
That's more docu-series.
Like
movie.
there's
that don't count. Last Dance don't count.
So don't The Mighty Ducks.
Oh, those are. Didn't even think about the Mighty Duck movies, the Slapshot movies. Those are.
Yeah, like there's a like Dodgeball. Like
I almost put that in my list.
Like there's I'd be honest, we should have done a top 10 just because there's so many great movies.
Yeah.
Like damn.
Yo, very cut what I'm about to say off of the recording, but my phone's about to die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'll just do the outro at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can just wrap it up now, anyways.
Yeah. Well, that's episode 3 of Unmatched. Thank you guys for listening. Continue to support Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us
Follow us
on
on-
TikTok.
Yeah.
I didn't forget TikTok. And we will continue to bring you weekly content. Now, Brufa is leaving in March. I don't know what we're gonna do yet. We'll figure it out. So tune in. We'll continue to provide no matter what.